This is Matt from Laser Bear, and today I'm going to show you how to make the Scary Tree Box. The Scary Tree Box comes in a variety of different sizes to meet your material requirements as well as kerf adjustments. I think I did this in 3mm, something like that, in some plywood, and got it all cut out on my Glowforge. I will be using a wood stain to finish my tree box now that it is all cut out. Before assembling the box, I'm going to add the stain to my pieces. I'm using a paper towel, which is probably not the best idea, but I didn't have any brushes around. It kind of left a little bit of strings here and there, but it's all I had, and it was easy enough to apply things. But I'm going to add a coat to all the front parts, and then we're going to flip it over and add it to the back. One lesson that I learned during this project is I probably should have done my engrave a little darker. I wanted to use a darker stain, but when I did it on another piece and tried it out, the engrave wasn't quite dark enough, so it lost the contrast with the etching and the stain. So maybe for your box, I'll be curious to see how it turns out, but for me, I had to use a little bit of a lighter stain for my project than I wanted to. To assemble my box, I will be using a Gorilla Glue wood glue with a small applicator. We'll start by assembling the bottom part, the bottom piece. I like to use the small applicators and apply little dots in the crevices. It's easy to kind of go around them, so I add it to each of these sections. And then we can switch over to the bottom part of the box here, the front of the face, the bottom front, and we add little dots to that as well. I find this is a great way to make sure that there's glue evenly spaced on both pieces and you get a nice bond. Once you add your glue, you can put them together. With wood glue, if a little bit squirts out or if it makes a mess, it's pretty easy to clean up. You can see I got some there on the table, and I probably used a little bit too much on this first pass. You'll see in the other pieces I use a little bit less, so there's not as much cleanup. Now that those pieces are together, we're going to be adding the bottom side to the bottom of the box and the front. Exact same approach. We're going to add glue to each of the pieces and then insert it. For my project, I am using the kerf adjust designs, which fit quite snug. So you might have to use some force to get them in there and kind of move the other parts around. I like to do this all at once. You don't necessarily want the pieces to dry because there needs to be a little give when you're putting in the other parts. Now we're going to add the bottom back part to the parts we've assembled so far. I make a small mistake here. I add glue to the top part of this back piece, and you do not want to do that. That is where the hinge is going to rotate, so you don't want glue in this little part. You'll see it here in the next section. I figure it out and I clean it up, which is easy enough to do with the wood glue, but do not add glue in that top little peg that you see there. And here I realize I made the mistake, so I'm going to have to clean that up, but it's no problem. It didn't cause any issues and it was easy enough to fix. And here you can see that the top part, the hinge that will open, it goes right where I added that glue. So that's why that was a mistake, because you don't want glue there, because that's where the hinge needs to go and that's where it's going to rotate. Now we flip it over, we do the same thing to the other side, except we don't put glue where it's not supposed to go. Now we begin to assemble the top part of the box. So we're starting with the very top piece. Same approach, we're going to add glue to each part, put it together. You can do it in a few different ways, but I'm starting with the small back piece and connecting it to the top part. And now we're going to add the side piece to the top. Here I noticed that I might want to add a little bit of glue above the hinge. I don't know if it's necessary, but I missed it when I was putting the glue down. Just decided to add a little bit of stability to that small back part. Now with the side piece attached, I'm going to go ahead and add the front part of the face. I was concerned during this part that I would damage the little spikes on the face, so be careful when putting it together. They're sturdy, but I think if you poked yourself with them, they're a little jagged, and they also, I think, could maybe chip off depending on the type of laser you have or how much they may have burned. So just be careful when you're assembling the front part of the face that everything gets, nice on there without damaging it. So with that piece fully attached and in there, this is how the hinge works on these kind of boxes. So you're going to be taking this part of the assembly, putting it together with the lower part of the assembly, and then once that's all attached together, you're going to add the last part of the top so that the hinge clamps together and the box won't come apart. So that's the reason that we did it in this order, so we could add this final piece right here, and you would have a hinge that can open and close in the box. So this is the last step. The last glue that you've got to do is just add it to the piece right here, and then the last upper part of the side wall, and you should be good to go. Just clean off some of the wood glue. It dries clear anyway, so it's not a big deal if it gets out and oozes out. And as you can see, I've got messy hands. I kind of get it on the box. Maybe clean your hands, but that's how the hinge works once you get the pieces together. It's a very common design, really easy, doesn't use a lot of material to make, and yeah, I like using wood glue because it's very forgiving, and I make a lot of mistakes, as you probably saw, but here it is. I think it turned out great. All right, another one is done. This project turned out awesome. I hope yours did as well. Please join us on our Facebook group. I would love to see your project. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and thank you so much for doing this project with me.